Today, we're going to talk about a very important topic: how to stop mean girl behavior. This is an enormous problem, and I've had two girls, and I had to deal with it with them. And this actually occurs not only in kids at school, but it also occurs in the workplace. And it's usually among women or girls. So, welcome to our channel today, and we love to today we're going to talk about stopping mean girl behavior. This is a huge issue in schools and even in the workplace among girls, especially around the teenage years or young teenage years, and women. So welcome to our channel where we dig into deep topics of uplifting and motivational techniques to become our better self. So let's dive right in because this is an important topic, and I really want to increase awareness about this. So oftentimes when this was happening to my girls, their behavior started to change, and all of a sudden they were more withdrawn and quiet, a little edgy, and I knew something was going on, but they, for whatever reason, they don't feel safe to tell their parents. So I started to open up dialogue with my daughter, and eventually it started coming out in snippets. So I've also heard other parents talk about this as well. So this is actually a pretty uh, common occurrence, unfortunately. And I heard from one parent, she was saying, like, so her daughter was on the soccer team. There was a mean girl on the soccer team. And this girl was talking behind her back and talking to other friends and saying bad things about her. And they were not true. But the friends that she was sharing this with were her friend group, and they believed pretty much, it seemed like they believed everything she said at this detriment of this poor girl. And so, how I am going to suggest dealing with this is, one, try to open that line of communication between, your daughter or daughters and yourself, if possible. Get help. It's okay to go and get a counselor, and for her and even for you, or even co-parenting, so that you have professional guidance on how to deal with this, because this gets worse. It does not get better. Trust me, I have been down this road, and even in the workplace, I have seen this. I have witnessed this in the workplace, and this actually happened at a place that I worked. And the boss was a female, and she was a mean girl, and she would come across, oh, so sweet to all of the patients and their families, but she often would take credit for the things that her employees were doing, and she would come across as the liaison where she would be talking to the family members directly, and she would come across as all these ideas were hers. And so in their eyes, she was just the star. Even in the corporate world above her, the managers thought she was great because the family members were all saying how wonderful this woman was. And speaking up to the at the corporate level backfired. And actually, the person who reported this actually got backlash and got her hours cut, and ended up getting transferred to really a job that had no hours. So this was really unbelievable. But the mistake, I believe, was not labeling it as a bully, because HR has to take that seriously. And if you're coming across sometimes as, hey, this is going on or that is going on, sometimes they take you seriously, sometimes they don't. And then again, this woman was getting these rave reviews from family members, and oftentimes, and I think this occurs at both levels, be it adults in the workplace or children at school, and that it's often a person who demonstrates some narcissistic type of behavior. And I'm not going to label that person narcissistic because that word is spread around so often, but they can exhibit narcissistic type of behavior. And if you don't know what that is, I will end up doing another video on that because that's an entire topic or video or two or several in itself. But it's classic that they have this friend group that they have created. And oftentimes, in my experience, the person that's acting out in the narcissistic behavior is an extremely insecure person, but they don't come across that to their peer group I call them their flying monkeys. But like the wizard, the Wicked Witch of the West with all the monkeys that flew around on the brooms, and you would think that these people would see through this. And the classic symptom is if they're starting to talk about a person and they're spreading all these lies and rumors and nastiness. And why these people don't see through it, I'm not really sure, because I have this radar where I can see through stuff like that really easily, but a lot of people can't. And they start believing this person because maybe they themselves have self-esteem issues and want to be accepted by this so-called leader in this group. And so that's how it starts, is spreading rumors and spreading lies and alienating that person whenever possible. So if they go into the school lunchroom and all of a sudden they're all sitting together, but there's all of a sudden not room for the girl that they're talking about. And so she has to go find somewhere else to sit, but maybe she ends up sitting alone because everybody else has their established friend groups. So my suggestion is to make sure and educate and teach your daughter to have other friends besides these people. So start by just trying to create friendship groups from the very beginning. When I was in high school, I belonged to several different friend groups. I wasn't just in a clique or one set group. I was friendly to everybody and I included everybody. And I would probably be the girl that would go up and sit next to somebody who was eating alone because I have a lot of empathy, and I can't see, I see through that and I can't stand it. So I always try to include people, but a lot of people don't do that. And it takes a lot of self-confidence to be able to do that. So teach your daughter. If you see somebody sitting alone or there's a new girl, welcome them. Because I had a friend once tell me, if she had told her daughter, if you make friends with the new girl, in every new girl that comes to school, before long, you're going to have a big friend base. And it depends on the size of your school, of course. So um, that's the first thing, is not to put all your eggs in one basket. And this includes women at the office as well, because if you're alienated, you still have other places to go, other friends to sit with, and you really don't care. And I recommend not challenging that core toxic leader, because then they're going to aim all their weapons right at you or this person, and they're going to fire all their weapons and really tune it up. But I have also noticed that if you are a lighthearted, carefree, likable person, sometimes these toxic people, it irritates them, and they see other people liking you, and then they really try to alienate you, and it just irritates their demons inside them, so to speak. So I mean, like I said, this is very serious at all ages. This is what I call the mean girl behavior or mean girl syndrome, and it occurs a lot of places. If you are at work, you may have to go to your boss and go up at a higher level and use that bully word. But when you're talking to them, try to take the emotion out of the conversation and just have a very calm, educational conversation so that you're not triggered and emotional and then they think you're the problem. So, and have some facts. If you need to take notes and dates and times, do that. But I kind of caution you to do that because I do believe the more you focus on that behavior, the more it comes to you. And, have your facts straight, but also really try hard not to just focus solely on that because the more you focus on it, the more you're going to bring it toward you. So, it's kind of a catch 22 situation. So in the beginning, you can kind of just be kind and friendly. If that's not working, you can even try to befriend each one of the flying monkeys. But it's interesting because they can be friends with you and hang out with you, and you think, hey, this is cool. But when they get around that toxic leader, their attitude changes and you are out on the outskirts again and they will even talk about you. So I really try not to even be close friends with people who are in that toxic friend group because you always have to watch what you say, you always have to watch what you do. But I recommend never talking bad about anybody, never talking bad about that toxic person or the behavior because it will get back to them. And you might think this flying monkey is your best friend or a close friend, but as soon as they get around that toxicity, they will change and they will tell that person what you said, and that adds more fuel to the fire. So just be aware of that. And if you are dealing with your daughter, let's say, you will probably have to get the school involved. And I learned that you can't actually go to the parent directly because they're going to defend their child no matter how you say it to them. So I've learned not to go directly to them unless you're really, really close friends with them. You know, I had that happen with a neighbor, and that was just an ugly situation because she got defensive. So maybe incorporating the school counselor into this conversation. But I highly recommend going to counseling with your daughter or as a family, and having your daughter have a pediatric counselor to talk to because they are a godsend and they know how to deal with these things. They have suggestions, and it is, let's just lay this out on the table right here. It is hard to make friends sometimes if you have this toxicity going on against you and they're mouthing about you to everybody that you seem to try to befriend. You know it it can be a bad situation. So even making friends as adults can be difficult. So getting that professional counseling will really help you and help put arrows in your quiver so that you can pull them out and know how to coach your kids and know how to even coach yourself if you're in that situation. And I feel for anybody who's in that situation because, and other thing that I've learned is the more successful, like as an adult, the more successful you become in your career, you're going to have people who are jealous. My agent told me that, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'm not really experiencing any of that. Well, that just meant that I wasn't that successful at the time because as I became more successful in my career, I had other sort of authors or people who called themselves authors that maybe had one badly written book and they never really put a lot of time and effort into it, and they exuded this toxicity, and they um, were amazingly well liked in the community, and people just didn't see that side of this person and or people, and I just noticed that the more you start to um, excel in your career, that you're going to start having the haters, unfortunately. But it's your job to not react to that and not block them if you have to, but do not publicly respond at all to any comments, to any gossip. about that person because they're feeding you to see if you're going to respond. So be very careful of that. And as a person yourself, let's say you're not in this situation, if you have toxic people coming to you and really talking about another person, maybe cutting them down, and you can see through what they're doing, or you suspect, hey, they may be triangling me in here and cutting this other person out that they don't like, and that's kind of a red flag. So pay attention to what's going on. Don't get sucked into that gossip, and don't believe everything that you hear from other people, because most of it's either not true, or if it's true, it's coming from some kind of different viewpoint that this other person has. And if they're toxic, or they have toxic behaviors, or they're controlling, or they're boisterous, or whatever, you might think, hey, I wonder if this is really the truth, or if this is they're just seeing this through a toxic lens. Just pay attention, and don't be that person that alienates somebody just because somebody else is saying something bad about them. So we can end it right there. And if more people have the confidence to stand up against these people and say, hey, well, you know what? She's never behaved that way to me, or I don't see that in her. She's very kind and very sweet. You know, the more we stand up to these people as a collective, then we can end this mean girl behavior. But so many people are afraid to stand up against the mean girl because they don't want to be on the receiving end. And that's valid. I get it. You don't have to be confrontational. You could just simply get silent, grow silent, because silence is actually powerful, and silence says it all. And you don't have to play into the gossip. You don't have to play into that toxicity circle. And, let's just stop this right now. And, and make your children aware, teach them, hey, again, if you hear this stuff going on, don't play into it. And don't alienate people. Come on, we're all here on this earth. And, you have to use your gut instinct. I can usually tell if somebody's toxic really when I first meet them, but not always. Sometimes they slide in. They're very good at manipulation and the sweet talking. But it takes about 3 months to get to know somebody. And in that 3 months, if your gut is starting to tell you, something's just kind of not right with that person, pay attention and be alert. I'm not saying end relationships with people, because I think it's very valuable to become friends with everybody. But again, like I mentioned in another video, I have circles of friends, and the acquaintances are out here. And if they're toxic, I can get along with them. And hey, how's it going? And then you have people that are in the more inner circle that you're friends with. Maybe you go to lunch once in a while, but they're still kind of acquaintances. Then you have these people that are closer where, hey, we have some things in common, and I really like this person, and I feel like I can trust them. And then once that they kind of prove, hey, they're trustworthy, and then you can put them in the smaller circle. And in my smaller circle, I only have a few friends. I have a lot of friends out here, but I only have a few here. And it's okay to take, when somebody shows you who they are, it's okay to just kind of move them out and reevaluate the situation. You may pull them back in, you may not, you may move them out, you may move them out, and you may kick them out. But just be alert, be aware, and just don't believe every single thing that people are telling you. Don't believe social media. Just be your own guidance. Tap into your own guidance system, because that doesn't lie. So I hope this topic, this very sensitive topic, hits home with some people, and that it helps other people. And even if you're not in that deep, and you're not in this extremely toxic cycle with someone, or this hopefully is not being done to you. Hopefully some of these tips will help you, because that is my mission and my goal is to help you be the best self that you can be. So if these tips have helped you and you like this and you would like to see more of my videos, please like and subscribe. And as I always say, I love comments. I love knowing what's helping you. And I just like positive dialogue, and so feel free to drop a comment as well and to share this video if you know somebody that could benefit from these tips. So anyway, until our next time, until our next video, have a great day.